Okay, with that, the very last session here is this notion of within this basic skills bootcamp, the skills to manage your calendar, to manage your email, to manage your to-do lists and commitments. In fact, this one might seem like the silliest of all things, but deep inside, you have to really ask yourself, who actually trained you to do these things? When did you ever take a class, get a lesson in how to manage your calendar, email, to-do lists, and commitments? Are you really efficient at it, or do you really not even know? And so this is what Meghan and I will cover over the next 30 minutes. So really quick, I don't want you to raise your hands, but I want you to mentally raise your hand. If you think that you are running optimally, as in you're pretty good and feel good of how you're operating as an individual, whether it's how you work, whether you're home, if you feel you're running optimally in your mind, just raise your hand. Yeah? So mentally raise your hand. Now I will tell you you're lying to yourself. You're lying to yourself because if you think you're running optimally, I love this quote and picture from Mike Tyson, that everyone has a plan. Everyone thinks they're running well until they get punched in the face. Until the day when stress hits and something goes wrong is the day you realize that, you know what, I need to upgrade. What I thought that I was so good at, I'm not so good at. I thought I was so good at dealing with email till the day I got 1,000 emails coming in, and oh my God, is when I got quit. Whether it's a to-do list, the day that I got given 25 things to do, and I thought I was really good when I only had 6 all the time. So this notion of being able to endlessly upgrade is a human trait that we fundamentally see, believe, and we teach at Next. So how the two people who have influenced the most how we build our frameworks, how we organize and how we think about this over time was probably Simon Sinek, but became so much more powerful when we combined it with Jim Lear's work. And the combination of these two individuals gave us some of the greatest insights on how to grow as human beings, how to build a company culture of high performance. So in Simon's work, what he really got known for is building this thing called the golden circle. And the golden circle has 3 components of the why, how, and then the what. And everyone forgets there's a line, there's an arrow actually. And the arrow doesn't point the other way. It doesn't go from what. What is basically anything you can count, any product you can see. It's the results, the outcome. So it's the evidence that whatever you're doing, whatever you believe in at the core is working. That's the evidence, the results, the winning, what shows up in the what. But it's not like you count the what's, and then you backwards figure out justifying how you did it. And then you say, oh, at the core, I'm a really good person. It doesn't work that way. It starts at the core with why you do something. But then a lot of times people say, I love NextJump's why. But then I don't really care how I get the results. I'm just focused on outcome. And they jump from why to the what. And so the why just becomes philosophical in nature. It's kind of something it feels good to do the little things so others can do great things. Wow, I love that feeling. I believe in that why. Now I don't care how I get results. I will deliver results no matter how it happens. Win a game by breaking people's knees? Doesn't matter. Because how I won the game doesn't matter. But of course, that's not true. It does matter. The how is the magical component within this golden circle because it connects you from this thought process, this high-level idea, into the tangible outcomes. How you get it is critically important to make it real, make it part of who you are. However, this is the one part of the golden circle that Simon's team has discovered the least. And we looked and spent time with Simon and team of, tell me how this works. What are some of the guidelines and rules? They have great guidelines in the whys, and if you do it right, it shows up in the what, but they haven't been able to put clarity behind it until we saw the work of Jim Lear. And Jim Lear introduced to us this pyramid. He calls it the Human Performance Pyramid. This pyramid, for short, we call it PEMS, because it's physical, emotional, mental, and spiritual. So PEMS. And the foundation of it is how we build human energy. Physically, then emotionally is how we actually control it. Mentally is how we end up laser focusing it. So we develop our energy up and then we spend it by going down. And the spiritual is what he called the force. So it's the quantity, quality, focus, and then into the force. If you like Star Wars, right? There's the good side of the force, and then there's the dark side. Be careful, because when you don't have the spiritual set in your life, a higher purpose of helping other human beings, you will go to the dark side. So you build up your abilities in this pyramid, and you spend it going down. So this is what First Fridays was built to do. When you look at how we build human beings to operate at high performance levels, using this PEMS framework, where we talk about health igniting performance, written back to the gym there as well. Health ignites performance. Health being physical health, emotional health, mental, and spiritual. You need to be balanced and healthy across the pyramid. And it builds up. But when you spend it going down. We started mapping how we map out how process. Basic skills, think of it as like boot camp. Basic skills training. Then we go into all types of personal training. Then we go into group training, and then we go into the active teaching, which is the ultimate form of learning. When you can teach it to someone, that means you really know the stuff. And at a fitness level, the basics of fitness, think of personal training, whether it's working out by yourself or with a trainer. Think of a group class, like maybe taking Soul Cycle, a spin class together, the ability for a team to perform higher, and then being able to teach them. Yet, First Fridays is focused on one dimension of this pyramid. It's the mental dimension. How you focus, the technical skills you will build in your life. And in this presentation, we're going to dive really deep into this exact bucket. This bucket, and very simple things of calendar, email, to-do lists, as well as your commitments you're going to make. So, I want to first talk about really quick the reasons why we are unable to focus. Right? Why are we not able to focus mentally? I'm going to walk through the two top reasons that will be predominant in most people of why you're not able to focus. So, you haven't had sleep, right? You have food coma. You have a migraine. You have a terrible boss who just yells at you about everything. Emotional stress at home or somewhere in your family. Maybe you're searching for the meaning of life. Call it what you will. Many reasons why we will think about why I cannot focus. I am unable to mentally focus with all these different things. So when you think about all these different reasons why you're unable to focus, I want you to picture this. Have you seen this before? This is this unicorn, this nirvana. You click your inbox and it says there are no items to show in this view. There's zero inbox. Okay? So I want you to close your eyes for a second. Just do me a favor, everyone close your eyes. This is what I want you to picture. You go to your desk, you open your email, zero inbox. You look at your calendar. Oh my God, every meeting that's in front of me are people I want to meet. Not a single meeting I don't want is on my calendar. I happen to get 8 to 9 hours sleep for the last several nights in a row. I've been working out. I feel physically good. I've been eating fairly healthy, right? My clothes fit me well. And I feel like I've got love in my life. Whether it's my spouse, my children, my parents leaving me notes. Wake up. Wake up. That is not real life. That is not real life. And the day you're waiting for, when this will happen, is never going to happen. This is one of the top reasons why you're unable to focus. You have decided that I will focus when I get to this day. The reality is this day will never come. So you must learn the skills to focus, even though there is no zero inbox. There is no calendar of meetings that you only want. This is what we're going to help you learn to do. The other reason why we fail in focusing, we do it to ourselves. We love checklists. And in fact, we love checklists so much, what starts as 3 quickly goes into 20, goes into hundreds. Have you heard people brag about how much they've got done? Today, I had 13 meetings. I went through 25 things on my checklist. I can't tell you how productive I've been. They brag about it. We pride ourselves in how much volume we can get through. We're doing it to ourselves. We're unable to focus because this is what a checklist looks like. I went through 300 emails today, and I had 13 meetings, and I had 25 things that checked off my list. How awesome am I? This is why we fail. We fail to focus because we do it to ourselves. Number 1 was that we're waiting for this nirvana that does not exist. Number 2, we actually punish ourselves. by doing it right to ourselves. So, train to become an elite, a high performer, but not in, my son calls this pretend and then calls this for real life. Not in pretend. I'm not talking about the zero inbox, the open calendar meetings of people I only want to meet. I'm talking about real life where we get spam. We get email from people we don't want to get email from. We get meeting requests from people we don't want to meet. We don't get enough sleep. We have emotional stress. The list goes on. And yet, you can build the skills to perform at a high level, at the highest level of performance, despite what hits us in real life. Now, before I go into all the details and actually turn over to Meghan, the high-level premise is this. Reduce noise, you will get clarity. The reduction of noise in your life will increase clarity even if it's a single item that you reduce. Now, last two slides before I turn over to Meghan. This is a great article that was in the New Yorker last year. And it was talking about the notion of basic skills training. Boot camp for basic skills. And this was in the NBA. So this is professional basketball. The most elite basketball players in the world are in the NBA. And in the NBA, they found that NBA players did not want to admit that their game isn't good. They had stuff to learn. And when people got stuck in their careers, there's a coach who created basic skills boot camp. And literally, basic skills, this is for the NBA, is learning the basics of footwork, positioning, dribbling, passing, shooting. I mean, the basic fundamentals of the game. And what they found was that by the time someone gets to the NBA, oftentimes it's because of a certain gift they had in shooting. Or maybe they're incredibly tall, or they're incredibly athletic. And this athleticism, this gift they had, prevented them from ever having to train on the basics of the game. And what they found was when they put them through basic skills boot camp, this is in the NBA, the player jumped levels, accelerated in their career at levels they've never seen by going through basic skills boot camp, not in junior high, not in college, but in the NBA. Here's the false assumption that we all live under, which is that there's an assumption that you should know how to manage your own emails, your own calendar, your own time, how to say no, how to actively learn through iteration, resolve conflict with other adults. If someone doesn't like you and they kind of express that verbally or even just like glaring at you, you should be able to figure that out. Yet no one's trained you in any of this. And when adults lack these skills because there's never any training, you know what we tend to do? We fake it. I'm really good with emails. How would you even know? I'm really good at managing meetings per calendar. I'm really good at conflict resolution. You have no clue because nobody gets basic training when they're an adult. So I'm going to turn over to Meghan, who will take you through 4 of the top training elements that we found to be effective.
Here's the real sexy stuff. You guys ready for this? This is like, honestly, this is really good. I think just to give you some context, this is like stuff Charlie and I learned working together for almost 10 years now. So it is tried and true. It totally works. I encourage you all to try to just do these things and let us know how it works for you. There'll be nuances in there for everybody, but these frameworks, these sort of rules that we built, they actually work. We're not in pretend world. We're in the real life. It comes through stress when you're overwhelmed. So anyways, I encourage you guys to try this stuff. So there's 4 pieces. One is calendar, how to manage your calendar better, how to manage your email, the to-do list Charlie was talking about, and then what you commit to, what you have to get done, and how to manage that. Start with calendar. So there's actually 2 items here. This is all not pretty PowerPoint, so bear with this. But A and B. So it's going to be a and B for each section. So there's a core and exploratory. I think those of you next jump long enough have heard us talk about it. And then the second one I'll talk about is how important Monday is. But when it comes to this first one, this core versus exploratory. So how we use the week, Monday through Wednesday versus Thursday to Friday. Core stuff being done Monday through Wednesday is so important. And the main reason is exploratory, it could be culture, it could be other exploratory things you're testing and experimenting in. Why it's so important is to get ahead in the beginning of the week. And actually you should try this, right? I'm sure you have tried it. When you start to work on revenue items or projects that are really important that you need to get done in the week to show traction every week, if you start on Tuesday, by the time you really get going on, it might be Wednesday, and we go, shit, like now I'm behind. Now it's Thursday, Friday, and you're scrambling, and that momentum you don't have from starting it off right on Monday is actually could be very painful for the rest of your week. So this is why we always say Monday through Wednesday, which is 60% of your time. You know, the framework I'll talk about too is the 60-20-10. 60% of your time is 3 days in the week. Focus on your core work. Whatever that core ends up being for you, it's probably going to be in revenue, but for the most part, core is anything that's just important, your top priority. Think of it as your top priority. Exploratory Thursdays and Fridays. Because worst case, if you're behind on core, you can push your core into Thursday, maybe just have 1 day on exploratory. It's exploratory for a reason, it's not the core. The second one is Monday. This is really important. I think it's the most important thing actually when it comes to your calendar. The common mistake we do, you come in after the weekend, Saturday, Sunday, come in on Monday, and there's like this notion of like that groggy day, what Monday feels like. It's after the weekend, you're trying to catch up. You're probably looking through your inbox, which doesn't have zero. It's got all this stuff in it, and you're just reading through stuff, and you kind of burn through what really is your freshest day. Now, granted, I don't go out a lot on weekends. I don't drink a lot. Some of you might be like, oh my God, I'm trying to recover from the weekend. You're still actually fresher on Monday because you're disengaged. For the most part, most of you will disengage over the weekend, whether it's with your kids or going out or dinner. So you've actually been able to disengage and oscillate. You're actually the freshest. You might be challenging this, but trust me, just coming off the weekend, you have a different perspective. Use Monday to be critical. It is so hard to be critical on yourself, what you're working on, the projects that you own is really hard to do any other day than Monday. Monday is like the day, if you don't do it that day, all the other work that you have, the meetings all of a sudden are happening, and like you just never do it. You just kind of go through the sea of the week and all the meetings you have set up, and all of a sudden it's Friday, it's like, oh, I'll be critical next week. I'll challenge what I'm doing next week. Use Monday strategically. Ideally, if you have a TP, this is best done with a TP, somebody you could think out loud with, as opposed to in your own head. But be critical, challenge what you're working on. What Charlie and I will do is we'll come in and we'll say, what sucks? What are we not doing right? What's happening? What are we feeling? Sometimes you don't even know, but it's like expressing your feelings. So use that day to have those conversations. Charlie and I the only formal meeting we have on Mondays is Monday morning where we review the weekly results and then the staff meeting. So everybody's here in a staff meeting. Afternoon, we have free. And we made this mistake before, even recently, where we realized it was painful for us. We don't schedule any outside meetings on Monday. Remember, it's core. It's like all internal business stuff. We never schedule an external meeting on a Monday. Somebody coming in. And we actually stopped scheduling any internal meetings on Monday afternoon as well. So from 1:30 when that staff meeting ends, until the end of the day, we don't have anything scheduled. It is amazing what you can do when you have unconstrained time on a Monday. So for most of you, if you try this, you'll actually see, wow. And what happens is, whatever you worked on, whatever you're breaking apart in your head saying, this doesn't work, that doesn't work, it actually sets up the rest of the week. You could cancel a meeting that you have that you feel like is not aligned to what you just were thinking through. Like, it actually is a day to be very strategic and set you up on a much better path for the rest of the week. What we find is this notion, tip below, the straw that broke the camel's back. You know that phrase, the straw that broke the camel's back? It's actually one little straw that broke the back. It's not everything on the back. It's the one that you added on at the end that breaks the camel's back. If you remove that straw, the camel's back to normal. So even if you remove one meeting on a Monday that you have, even if you just remove one for now, in that times 52 weeks, that's a lot of mental bandwidth that you now have to focus on what's not working. What should you be doing better? On your business, on yourself, just everything. It's just a day to just be thinking, God, like, what sucks? How can we do it better? Use Monday. The second one, email. So on email skills, how to be more efficient with your email. Email can be a really powerful tool. And I think there's some of you who might be thinking, I've figured it out how to get to zero inbox. I just don't use email. I pick up the phone and I make more phone calls. It's better to be on the phone, or I make face-to-face meetings. I stopped using email. Or some of you might be thinking I use the latest technology, the latest gadgetry. I have a whole other way of, I don't even need to use email. I've got all these other cool systems to use. You have to remember that the email is like the most successful killer app on the internet that's ever built. It is the most amazing tool, and it can really help you be more efficient. And here are the reasons why. You can digest, these are the plus signs over here, you can digest information on your own time, right? You can read it in the morning before you come to work, on the train, you can read it at night. You can read it whenever you want to read it, so it's a very non-intrusive way to kind of digest information. You can respond on your own time. The other person can also digest it on their own, and they can respond on their own time, which is a very considerate thing to do. It's not intrusive. These other things over here, text messaging, especially instant messaging, all the new technology, picking up your phone face to face, they're all, of course you should use them. It's not to say use email for everything. It's just that this is much more intrusive, and if you don't recognize that, you might be thinking, I'm going to be so much more efficient. I'm just going to have more face-to-face meetings. I'm going to pick up the phone all the time. That's actually really inconsiderate and really annoying if you think about it. Like, imagine if you just have to, it's like, you want to digest information when you're ready to digest it. And so use email efficiently could be really powerful. So that was just a tee up email. 2 tips on email. So A and B. The first one is actually reducing noise. So Charlie was talking before. How do you reduce noise in your inbox, right? We did this years ago. This is so profound and yet so simple. Every email system, Outlook, Gmail, every system has email rules. Ask us if you don't know how to do this. There's a little, Raw and Pete can help too. There's a little button at the top of the new Outlook that says email rules. If you click on it, there's a 2 box you have, a CC where you're copied and a blind copy. Only the emails that are sent to you with your name in the to field are the ones that you want in your inbox. The ones where you're copied should go into a CC folder, and the ones that you're blind copied should go into a BCC folder. So you have 3 folders in your email, right? The inbox, the CC, the BCC. So it's crazy how much less email you get sent to you than you think, right? It is actually crazy. What happens is during the day, when you're looking at all of it in one inbox, you might be seeing an email about Coronitas, you might be seeing an email about a culture event, something that's coming up in like months from now. While you're trying to work, it is so distracting. Even by seeing it, it'll take your mind off track. It's so easy to get distracted by all the stuff going on. It should be going into most of it, it's a group email to Team New York or to Team Everyone. You're blind copied on that. That's not to you. You don't need to see that on a Monday at 3 o'clock when you're trying to be thinking critical. You see that, it is distracting. It's very distracting. And so even if you shut your email off and whatnot, maybe you try that stuff, but this is a very simple rule. If they really need to get to you and you're that worried that you're not going to see it in here unless you check maybe a few times a day, they're going to send it to you. If it's that critical, your name will be in the to field. Everything else, you can check it once or twice during the day maybe, and at night when you get home, you can breeze through it. You'll be shocked how fast you can get through your BCCs and your CCs. You could just eyeball it and be like, important, not important, important, not important. You can check it so much faster. This is the stuff you want to be a little bit slower about. So you might go from 100 emails in a day to 10. It's awesome. It's closer to the 10. Okay, then there's emails that are called the IDK, the I don't know emails. All the emails that you get where you get it and you're like, what to do with this email, right? Especially I think for maybe salespeople and people who have more external people coming in, and even for internal. Okay, so the first thing to note here, not everybody is equal. Not everybody's equal. Meaning, not every email is equal. You do not need to respond to every email that comes to you in the day that it came to you. There's no point in especially if they're people you don't want to get back to you. So there's high priority people, low priority people, right? Or probably not high priority, meaning low priority. The high priority people, you want to respond, but you're busy. There's one scenario, you're really busy, you want to get back to them, but you actually don't know what to say to them. It's a client or somebody internal, you don't want to upset them, but you're I don't know what to say. First, you have to remember, no response is a response. By not responding, the person thinks you don't care, that you're not important, right? So how do you make them not feel like that? You respond. You're thinking, well, I don't know what to say. Just say, I'm buried, and I'll get back to your note. Imagine somebody wrote to you saying, I'm so sorry, I'm buried today, I'm buried this week, I'm going to get back to you. You'd be like, they heard it. You're not going to get upset if they delay you a week or a few days or months. I don't know what it is, but I will get back to you. It's a very considerate way to make them know that they're important to you and it's a priority. Acknowledge that you got it, you declare your intent. If you know there's more detail, you can put it in there, but even if you just said that, that's refreshing. It takes a few seconds. The low priority people, the not high priority, slow it down, meaning you do not want to be too accessible. So the client that drives you crazy, they call you all the time. MasterCard used to do this a long time ago. They would call so frequently that we trained them that we would pick up the phone within 10 minutes, or within the same day, call you back. It's, unless you want that client to feel that way, you're training them. By every time you respond, you are training them that I'm here. I'm just waiting to respond to your next email. You need to slow it down. Train them on what to expect from you. We said the tip here, which is really cool, is batch responses with very little customization. So imagine your response, you know, if you don't want them to get right back to you, you maybe wait 24 hours, 48 hours, maybe you wait a week. I'm not sure, you're going to have to figure that out based on what you think, but you can actually write something back that is sort of a blow-off email, but you can write it to a lot of people that you're thinking are sort of in a similar grouping. You write an email just, you know, saying, I'm sorry, I'm buried. I'm going to get back to you, but I'm working on blah, 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 blah. You just maybe share something that you're working on, but it's the whole point is that you could send that same email to like 10, 15, 20 different people. You absolutely can. I know you think everybody's kind of different and unique in what they're asking for, but that short note, very little customization, you can fire off to 10, 20, maybe even 30 people that are waiting to hear back from you. It's very effective to just, it could take you like 5 minutes to rip through 20, 30 emails that you don't know what to do with. The third one, so email rules. So this is just an example of the email rule. Set up an Outlook and things. Okay, your to-do list, the skills. Some of you may have heard us call it the CAP prioritization framework, so CAB, just standing for label your C's, your A's, your B's. So what we do, and here's the most common mistake we do with to-do lists, Post-it notes. You know, those of you have like Post-it notes all over your computer, like your flat screen. Or, everything is an A priority, so like everything's important. How can something be not important? Everything we have to get done is important, right? And then using an electronic system can also be very ineffective and inefficient because just taking out a piece of paper, so it's just a picture of literally pieces of paper, like a blank piece of paper. One is short term and one is long term. So Charlie and I do this every week. Short term is sometimes multiple times during the week. You have a short term list, you have a long term list. Your short term list must be done this week. So think of it like maybe I have a 10x presentation coming up. I write down my 10x presentation, preparing for some meeting, a client meeting, stuff that has to get done in the week. Everything else goes on your long-term list. You know, I don't know. I want to be whatever. It could be personal stuff too. It could be anything that you need to get done, not this week. So maybe 10x being next month or whatever, 10x presentation, whatever it is long-term, that's long-term. It's actually very hard to do. Everybody wants to put everything on short-term. This has to get done this week. And then here's what you do. 1, 2, 3. You mark your C's first. These are the least important, the ones that are the least important at the bottom of your list. You're going to be tempted to not put any of those by just reducing the noise of 2 things. So the example here is you just put 2 things as a C this week. It's going to get done this week. It's just not going to get done today, right? And then you label your A's. You don't even have to put the B's on. They're just in the middle. Once you crank through your A's, you'll get to your B's. But the A's, you then just go through. You write number 1, number 2. You might have a lot more on here, but put down your C's. I'm not going to get done right today. These are my A's. I'm going to get it done today. Today, maybe tomorrow. This is like all short-term stuff. And then you just follow the 1, 2, 3. You literally put it up on your whiteboard or put it up on your computer. Like, it's just your handwriting. It takes like a second. You can color-code it if you want. It is actually really effective. Very easy. You can see it. Your TP can see it. By the way, walking your TP through this and saying, what do you think is going to get done this week can be a really effective tool how to get to work together. And then same thing on the long term. This is a very effective tool, I think, in how you meet with your TP. If you had this and you showed what do you think, here's what I'm thinking, it would force you to get your logic out and it can challenge what you have on your list. It might be like, you know what, that's not, how important is that? Really today? You can do that Thursday or Friday and maybe they make it a C for that day. Really good. Okay, what we commit to skills. So this is what you're committing to. So what do you have to get done? These are the bigger buckets of what you have to get done. It could be people you've committed to helping and coaching. It could be products, initiatives, projects. Where you're committing your time and energy, how do you manage that? I've got so many different things. I've got revenue, I've got culture initiatives. You just have stuff in your life that you're committed to get done. We call it 60-20-10. 60 is 3 days of the week. Your 20, you spend 1 day of your week. And then the 10, you spend a half day. And that adds up to 90. It still means you have a half day. You have another 10% of your time to do other stuff. It just leaves some buffer. But the point is, you should be spending, if it's the most important priority, 3 days of the week. Just gives you a framework for the week of where your energy and time, 3 full days in the week should go to the most important thing. 1 day and half a day. But what was important here is you actually have to iterate on this over time. So for instance, what if you spend 3 days of the week, you get $2 signs. I'm just giving an example of impact, a return on your investment of energy. But you get $2 signs for the thing you spend 1 day on. You probably want to make that one that you got, you spent 1 day on and got the same return. Make that your 60. You're going to get 3 times the amount of return because you're now spending, instead of 1 day, you're spending 3 days on that project. You're going to get that much more return. You can spend less on here because it's not less return. But this will tweak over time and iterate over time. It's a helpful framework of how you manage that. Okay, so just the key takeaways, and then Charlie's going to just wrap up with one slide. From a calendar point of view, Monday is the most important day. I would see what you can do on your own calendar, even if it's just removing one meeting that you have. Unconstrained critical thinking time on a Monday, awesome. Set up your week in a much more effective way. It might even change what you do in that week, which might get you more of the results that you were looking for. Email rules, the filtering system. If you do nothing else but just filter your emails in a 2 CC, it's like life-changing. It's very refreshing. You see less emails than you actually would wanting more emails than you do. Imagine that. The to-do list, the CAB prioritization, which I just talked you through, it just reduces noise. You focus, you get your A's done, then you get to your next set of A's or B's, whatever you want to call them. You will get your C's done, but just then have the long-term aside. It's always there, so you won't forget. And then what you need to commit to is kind of where you spend your time.
So just really quick in summary, one of the important things to understand this notion of how most of us operate incorrectly with a pyramid that looks like this. This is obviously not sleep. The idea of consistency being at the foundation and at the top. Another way to translate it is the notion of field experience, which is kind of learning on the job, versus classroom. And what we have found is that 80 to 95% of how human beings learn and upgrade occurs through field experience, by doing. It's 5 to 20% should be classroom. We tend to believe it's closer to 5%. Let me do the math. There are 22 business days in a month. 5% of 22 is 1 day. That is why we're creating First Friday. Idea of classroom learning for a full day where you can come and literally sit, take time off 1 day a month to get your quota of the 5%. The rest of it, go practice it like we had this discussion even with all different boxing instructors. And they say that, the argument is you have a very strong technical fighter, and you have someone who has a lot of experience in the field, in the ring. Who's going to win? What they found consistently, any day, is the person with field experience, ring time, will beat out the person who's technical. However, if you want to become great, you need to actually build a foundation of ring time, field experience, but you need to then top it off with 5 to 20% technical skills. And when you combine the two, is when greatness comes. So it's not a binary argument of this or that. When you combine this is where great things happen. So I think that was it. Questions? We're happy to start maybe with Boston.